Moment, there's a rare harmonic convergence happening right here in Manhattan. Sarah Palin is about to share a pizza with none other than Donald Trump. Trump, who briefly flirted with a Republican presidential run of his own, is the latest stop on Palin's One Nation tour, adding him to a list of national monuments that includes the Lincoln Memorial, the Gettysburg Battlefield, and the Liberty Bell. Donald Trump and Sarah Palin, I would love to be a fly on that wall, and I don't know why we think they're eating pizza. Sounds like not exactly their choice of food. Joining me now is one of my favorite contributors, CNN senior analyst Jeffrey Toobin, and Rick Lazio, a former Republican congressman, a good friend of the show, and also a great personal friend. So, Rick, let me start with you.
Yeah.
Roger Ailes, none other than perhaps the most powerful person in the Republican Party, has been dumping all over Sarah Palin, and you now have this remarkable event of Palin and Trump, who suck up all of the energy from the Republican Party, going off to have dinner. Meanwhile, you've got Huntsman, you've got Romney, you've got plenty serious candidates wandering aimlessly with no cameras following them. Is this good for the Republican Party?
You know, we're talking about it, right? So I guess it's a success for both of them. You've got two master showmen. You've got Donald Trump, who fanned the flames, teased the media, and was in the headlines for weeks, and Sarah Palin, that was out of the spotlight for a while, but is back in. I think for the candidates who are like maybe Pawlenty or like Michelle Bachmann, who were in respectively Iowa and New Hampshire over the last couple of days, it does tend to suck some of the oxygen away from them. I think Romney has sufficient standing now when he makes his announcement in New Hampshire that will get its own.
Look, I think that's an important distinction between candidates who already have some stature and candidates who are not yet defined. But Jeff, what does it mean when you have Palin and Trump, who are masters? Look, we together had a conversation with Donald Trump on the show a couple weeks ago. He refused to answer any serious questions, take any positions. Neither Palin nor Trump has been willing to define herself or himself. What does that mean about the ability to manipulate the politics of the moment?
It means it's better to be famous than anything else. I mean, they're both really famous, and they got a lot of support. I mean, you know, Sarah Palin, for all her eccentricity, is still at about 10% in the polls. Now, that doesn't sound like much, except when you consider that the leading candidate, who was Romney by and large, is only at about 17% in the polls. So, you know, she remains very somewhat popular among the slice of the Republican electorate that votes in primaries. And so until she decides whether she's running or not, she's going to suck up a lot of the oxygen.
You may be right. We are perhaps playing her game. Here we are talking about her. Shame on us would be one response. But Rick, is this going to succeed in a rebranding? Or many people think that's what she wanted to do, get rid of the negatives. Is it going to work?
Well, she's got an important movie coming out that I think in part is an effort to reposition, well, to her, in terms of her repositioning, that attempts to tell a much more sympathetic story about Sarah Palin. And frankly, she has got an interesting story. She's an interesting person. That's why people like her. She's looking for ways to connect directly with the people as opposed to going through the media, which is a real challenge. But she does understand, which Jeff was saying, the nature of contemporary politics, which is a celebrity political culture.
But let me just put away this rebranding business. Is there one person who thinks poorly of Sarah Palin now that she's gone to Gettysburg, now that she's riding around in a bus, is going to think differently of her? I can't imagine this spectacle changing one person's opinion.
Well, that's my question. Rick, try to defend maybe the thinking of the Republican leadership and not having tried to push her back at this point. Her negatives are at 60%, very high for somebody who wants to be president. Even among independents, they're at 62%. The swing votes that are...
But you can read the polls.
Right. So explain the logic of how you've been a very successful politician. How does she begin to appeal? None of us always, but how does she begin to appeal to those middle independent swing voters without whom she can't win?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The swing voters are the key part of the electorate right now, and she's having real difficulty reaching out to suburban voters and swing voters, soft Democrats and independents. Her appeal, which is an intense appeal, is to that part of the Republican base that is really attracted to her populism. Her appeal is strong. She's got an intensity to her appeal that will be very helpful to Republicans. So Republican leadership, to the extent they can control these things, they don't really want to turn her off. They want to rechannel her so that she is seen as somebody who's going to contribute to what they think will be a winning majority.
Republican leadership? Who do you have in mind?
Well, Roger Ailes.
But Roger Ailes, if she was a serious candidate and was possibly running for president, he would take her off the air. She's a Fox News analyst. He took off Rick Santorum. He took off Newt Gingrich when they became clearly candidates. He hasn't taken her off because she's just making She's not running for president.
I wanted to be clear. I'm about to quote some words that are not Roger Ailes' words, but were attributed to him by some in an article. And this is somebody who's quoting Roger Ailes. He, being Roger Ailes, thinks the election of Obama is a disaster. He thinks Palin is an idiot. He thinks she's stupid. He helped boost her up. People like Sarah Palin haven't elevated the conservative movement. So Roger Ailes, if these quotations are true, and they were in, I forget, New York Magazine.
It was Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone. Well, that's the question. So to whom will the Republican leadership turn and when to say, all right, now silly season is over. We do need somebody of a stature to stand up to President Obama, who can say in the past month, Osama bin Laden, gone.
Yeah.
We have a foreign policy. We stand for something.
Right. I think the establishment, to the extent they can control anything, can put pressure on the candidates to be substantive, to talk about their policies, what they stand for, not just making media appearances and play the cat and mouse with the media and do all the cute things that actually attract attention in the short run, but who's going to have the credibility and the standing to be a serious challenger to President Obama next year. They don't have the ability to pull a Sarah Palin or anybody else out of the race. What they do have, I think, is the ability to help focus people's attention on what they should be looking for in mounting a credible challenge.
And also, I think it's important, if you want to run for president, run for president. Mitt Romney's running for president. Tim Pawlenty's running for president. Newt Gingrich is running for president. That's it so far for all the talk. And I think, we have to give them credit for actually making the effort and taking on the challenge of saying, I am going to be the person, not an endless discussion of are they running, are they